go ahead and get started. We'll continue to let people in, but welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Joni Parsons, co-creator of Rebel 11, along with Monica Smith, who is waving right now.
Hello.
Hello. Good to see you from Palm Desert today. I'm in Seattle, as I mentioned earlier. We started Rebel 11 about 4 years ago to inspire women to help change the world. Isn't that a wonderful goal of ours? It's so important. So today we're here to talk about public speaking. Did you know that 77% of the population is afraid to speak in front of others? That's such a big number. I think I'm one of those, actually. Today we're going to be talking to an expert who can help us through that fear. And there's so many moments, those impromptu moments that leave you tongue-tied or nervous. And Lisa has so many tips that she's going to share today. She's an author and public speaking coach. Her book is fabulous. You got this. It should be, you got this, baby. Everything you need to master authentic public speaking. And I have to say that it is a one-stop shop for everything you need to know about public speaking. With that, Lisa, go ahead, take it away. We're so thrilled you're here today, and thank you so much for your time. Go ahead, tell us all about everything you know.
Thank you so much, Joni, and welcome everyone. I'm going to, as I'm talking here, I'm going to open my screen up so you can see some of the goodies I got for you for this next hour. So with that, as Joni said, a lot of people, the majority of so many studies, most people are afraid of public speaking. And what's also interesting with that is that around only 8% of those who fear public speaking actually go to get professional help. So the fact that you are even here, you're in that just small little minority that's at least interested, and you showed up. So I assume that you have some reason why you want to spend an hour of your time learning about, talking about public speaking. And so, kudos to you. There we go. Oops. All right. So I'm going to start out here by showing this slide. And if you take a look at this, let's say it's your turn to speak. Now, with all of you, if I selected one of you, I'm not going to say who, and I asked you to tell everyone in this Zoom session to summarize yourself to everyone in 30 seconds. And I just want you to sit with that. And if you could share just a yay or nay, whether that's something that you would do and feel comfortable doing in the comment section. All right, where did my comment section go? Here we go. Where is my comment section? If I lost it, my apologies. Where to go? Help. All right. Well, I can't see the comment section to see your responses. My apologies, Joni. Any
Lisa,
idea?
I can share some of these. It's like, no, I would be scared to death. No, I don't think so. I'd fumble a bit. Scary. Yes. Nay, but I would still do it. Prefer not to, but I guess that's the part of the point of this workshop. So, yeah. But I'll go, Lisa, I'll share things in the chat as we go through.
Okay. All right. So anyway, that's what we're going to talk about is if you like it and look and you embrace this, fantastic, that's great. And if you're afraid of it, that's what we're going to address in this session is ways that you can avoid that instant anxiety feeling. So in this session, we're going to talk about what impromptu speaking is, and we're going to go over some tools for success. And then we're also going to address formulas, and that includes for formal types of presentations and informal, such as social settings, networking, dinner conversations, those kinds of things, and then questions. You'll have an opportunity to practice, and we'll go over some of the assessments and then some final tips. So by the end of this hour, you will learn how to become a natural speaker. Now, I do want to add in that it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to, or you have to love public speaking, but this should give you some tips so that you feel more comfortable when you do any kind of public speaking. Okay, so I'm going to ask you this. What does the word impromptu speech mean to you? Because that's what you signed up for this hour. We are going to talk about impromptu speaking. So if you could share in the comment section just a few words what you think it means to you, the word impromptu speech, speaking.
So off the cuff, unexpected, unplanned, spur of the moment, unplanned speaking, no time to prepare, spontaneous without preparation, just put on the spot,
Yeah.
Unrehearsed,
Okay.
a lot of the same types of things, yeah.
Okay, all right, so good, there's some commonality. The dictionary term is basically just that. It's a presentation of a short message without preparation. And so let's take a look and dive at what that means. Yes, as kind of a generic term, it's speaking without any kind of preparation. But if we dive into it, then we can discover what that really means and maybe identify any of our own fears and be able to know what those, when we learn those solutions, being able to use those effectively, confidently, effectively, and so on. So let's talk about when you may be called upon to speak unexpectedly. Now, this happens all the time, and we may not even think of it, but it might be in business meetings, maybe in club meetings, family gatherings where you're sitting around a table. Maybe there's just within your own family or a large family where you have your cousins, et cetera, and you get together, and there's that time where you need to get up and or say something. Any kind of workshops such as this event, training sessions, receptions, formal dinners. There's a whole variety of situations where it's not planned. You have to speak. And like I said, it can be informal or it can be formal in business, or it can be in social, personal situations. Happens all of the time. And most of the time you don't even think about it. You just talk and it works well. But there's other times where you have that, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to say? So some of the reasons that you might be called in to speak unexpectedly, and these are typically situations where you may not feel comfortable. So let's say that a guest speaker called in sick, and this could be virtually, or of course it could be in front of a live audience. Maybe it's you're in a roundtable discussion in a business meeting situation. An audience member may ask questions. Again, as we go through this, any of this could be done remotely, live, or live face-to-face, etc. Maybe you have to provide an unexpected update about some situation. Maybe you volunteer to speak. Okay, you didn't plan to speak, but you were, whatever the event was, you just were inspired to say something. Introducing yourself at a networking event. Filling in late for a speaker. Maybe you were asked to give a toast at a wedding reception, a company party. Perhaps you are asked a question that you did not prepare for while on a panel of some sort. Or maybe job interviews, questions from left field. Maybe you are asked questions by a reporter. So there's a whole number of situations. Can you think of anything else where you may be asked to speak on the spot?
Anybody have any thoughts? Any other places?
So there's a whole number of different things.
Yes.
And this is just a few of them. But the point is that it happens all the time. Now, I put this one up because a lot of people are afraid of this, and this is mingling. In fact, I just had a client recently, and she told me that she's very comfortable giving presentations, especially if it's regarding her profession, because she knows the topic very well and she can plan in advance for the presentation. So for her, public speaking in that situation, she enjoys doing. However, when it comes to networking, she hates it. She fears it. She would rather not do it. She gets sick to the stomach. She says when she goes into a room, like in a room where we could be face-to-face in a networking situation, she tends to be the one that sits in the corner. And all she can think about is going home and putting her pajamas on and watching TV. And the thing is that's so normal. But what's interesting about that is that for most people, they think that they're isolated and it's all about them and all eyes are on them. But in reality, that's not the case. Most people are thinking the same. And so while you may be that one in the corner, there may be somebody else in the opposite corner thinking the same. Or if they're not, if they're actively engaged in a conversation with others, they have no idea and they're not thinking about you over in the corner. So it's just so interesting because this isn't a situation people are afraid of, but it's because they haven't planned. They don't know what to expect, and for that reason, they can fear all these fear ideas crop into the negative thoughts crop into their mind about why it's such an icky event. So we're going to talk about some of that. And so what happens with impromptu speaking is because you don't plan for it, there's that unexpected surprise. And what that then results in is a feeling of anxiety. And when people get anxious, they tend not to breathe well. They tend to take shallow breaths. Their body shuts down, and that causes brain freeze and also affects the voice, makes it hard to articulate well. And then, like I said, think clearly. And so, yes, that feeling does not feel good. And so those kind of feelings are what people want to avoid. And then with that comes negative thoughts like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to say. I'm not going to come across well. I'm going to be judged and all these kinds of things. So we're going to talk about that and work on that. What do you say when you are caught off guard and by surprise? So we're going to work on turning any fear, denial, and confusion that you might have into feeling calm, accepting, and having overall confidence. Now, again, you don't have to love it. You don't have to love public speaking. You don't have to love impromptu, but at least you can feel better about it and change those icky feelings into more accepting and calm feelings. And you may actually find that you actually enjoy it a lot. Okay, so we're going to talk about more what impromptu speeches are, because this may change the way you feel about it, just understanding it thoroughly. The first thing is that they are brief. So impromptu speeches typically only last a few minutes. No one is going to ask you usually to, on the spot, do a long speech, 20-minute speech, an hour speech. That's not going to happen. So do keep that in mind. If you fear that umbrella term of impromptu speaking, it's not going to happen. They're just going to be something brief. So the next thing is that they're usually easy. So again, no one's going to ask you to do a very formal, long speech about something, especially if it's something you don't know about. Usually, it's about a topic that you already know. So it'll, if somebody asks you to get up and say, hey, could you talk about such and such? They already assume that you know something about that, and usually you do. So usually it's easy. And oftentimes, it's not that you have to get into a long, detailed discussion. It's just a little brief introduction about something, or just to share some fact or information that you have to pass on to others. Now, this last one I added in, and that is that impromptu speaking can actually be fun. So what I would like you to do, and I'm going to do an analogy on this, what I'd like you to do is to think of any situation where any time in your life, even as a kid, where you were fearful of doing, and perhaps you had any kind of anxiety and negative thoughts surrounding that. So think of that situation, and then where you actually had the courage, if you will, and you conquered that. You gave it a try, you did it. And then you found that over time it became a part of your life and it's something that you enjoy. So I'll give you an example. Maybe it's where you were afraid of skiing. And so you just didn't like skiing, or maybe it's hiking, maybe it's rock climbing, whatever, a sport of some sort. And then you tried it, and over time you kept practicing, and then now it's something you absolutely love. So you don't have to share what that is. I just want you to take a pause right now and just think about any situation like that. Okay, well, if you can't think of anything, I encourage you to, because I want you to then compare that to public speaking. So this whole session is not about the fear of public speaking, it's about impromptu. But part of public speaking, like Joni said, in the statistics, most people are afraid of public speaking. And impromptu is one of those big factors of the fear of public speaking. So if you are fearful of it, then use an experience that you already have as an example and apply that to public speaking, because I guarantee you that the more you put yourself out there and the more that you try, and especially when you develop skills, the easier it gets. And since public speaking is something that everyone does, we can't avoid it. Certainly there are situations where more people are in situations where they would speak publicly more often than others, but it's almost can be a day-to-day activity, even if it's just informal. So if you look at it, think about it positively, and reframe your thinking and compare that to other situations where you conquered and you have enjoyed it, this can become the situation for you as well. So let's talk about some strategies for becoming a confident on-the-spot public speaker. One is to anticipate the event and plan your strategy. So I love this quote from Mark Twain, who said that it usually takes me more than 3 weeks to prepare a good impromptu speech. And this is really key to impromptu speaking, because it almost goes against the definition of impromptu speaking, where you're asked to speak on the spot unprepared, but you can change that, because you can prepare. If you know you have an event coming up, then do your homework. Learn as much about that event. Learn about who's going to be there, why they are going to be there. If you are, just assume you will be speaking at some sort. So think about your strategy, how you're going to do that. Know as much as you can. And that way, if it does happen, you will be prepared. So it's better to at least know anyway, if you are going to show up and spend time in an event, try to know what you can about that. And then tie that into public speaking if that is going to be a possible option there. So do your homework before you go, and then it won't feel like an impromptu speech. Another thing is that if you can, talk only about your own experiences. So depends on the situation, of course, but talk about what you know. Don't worry about talking about what you don't know. You're not going to share what you don't know. You're going to only share what you do know. So know that going in before you have to give an impromptu speech. It's okay. I'm going to only share what I know. The other thing is to be candid. So just be upfront with your audience. I mean, we're all human. So let them know. Tell them that this is what I know about the topic. I'm really happy to share this much. This might need to be confirmed with other sources. It's possible that this isn't exactly true. Just be candid with your audience. You don't have to be someone that you are not. Don't pretend, especially if you are asked to speak on the spot. Maybe, like I said, if you fill in for a speaker who didn't show up, the audience is going to know that. And they are going to appreciate you just giving it a try and saying what you can. Most likely everyone in the audience, whether virtually or in person, is glad you are doing it and not them anyway. The next thing is to go with the flow. So just allow the conversation and communication to happen. Don't worry about what could go wrong, because it may just, by relaxing and you're relaxing into it, it may just flow in one direction or the next. And maybe you have to initiate that conversation or communication, but someone else may pick up on that, add their input to it. Others may have questions, and you may only have just a very short window where you actually had to speak, and the others involved have taken away with that communication, and you're off the hook. So just allow it to happen, enjoy it. Don't get caught up on all those negative thoughts that go with that. The next is to be easy on yourself. So don't beat yourself up. What happens today is not necessarily what's going to happen in the future. What happened in the past is the past, it's history. So just move on. It's a learning process. No one is perfect at public speaking. No one is perfect at impromptu speaking. So don't worry about it. You gave it your try, and that's all you can really do. Another thing is to calm yourself. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here because that's a whole other topic. And Joni has some wonderful speakers on her speaker lineup that can very well knowledgeably talk about this topic. But just think about if you know that you are going to an event that you may feel anxious about, what are some techniques that you can do that will help you calm and relax and feel better about going into the event? And maybe that's meditating, maybe it's going for a short run or a walk, reading a book, listening to music, whatever it is. Don't use the time before to get all stressed up and worked out about it. Try to calm yourself down so that you can feel much better about being able to speak if you have to. Okay, so change your perception. If you are thinking negative, any kind of negative thoughts, again, if there's an event coming up and you're just worried that maybe you are going to have to speak, instead of thinking all these negative thoughts about it, instead shift and ask yourself, well, how would I feel if I actually had a great time? And then settle on that. Hold that positive thought. If I actually enjoy myself, what if I looked forward to the event? What if I shined? What if someone asked me to talk about myself and I did, and I met new people that way and I got job opportunities or whatever it is? So instead of thinking negative thoughts, think of what the positive of things that can happen as a result of that. You may have heard this very common phrase, where attention goes, energy flows. And that's actually been proven, and there's studies on that. And so give it a try for yourself. Do your own little experiment. Do that every day if you need to. Do that positive self pep talk. And if you have a specific event, just tell yourself lots of good things that will happen, and more likely it will, because that's what you'll be focusing on. You will be looking for that. All right, so we're going to talk about some formulas for impromptu speaking: informal, informal, and question format. So the first formula is to just start speaking. You have to turn a car on in order for that car to run and to go. You got to turn it on, and that's the same with public speaking. Sometimes don't worry about all the formulas. Don't worry about everything. Just start speaking. And that sometimes is just enough of oomph and energy that you need in order to get going. And then before you know it, you'll realize, oh, I don't even know that I'm anxious anymore. It's just happening. Okay, so just get started. That's sometimes the best strategy to do. But if you want to have a little more formality with it or structure to it, then this is one I recommend. Okay, here it is. So I'm just going to say it here. This one, a lot of people know this. It's the cliche, or it's been turned to cliche. Tell them what you are going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. And I understand why there can be some negative connotation to this strategy, because it can be boring, but it doesn't have to be. What's important for you is to have a structure that works for you, practice it, know it, get comfortable with it. And then when you are in a situation where you have to speak, especially unexpectedly, you can more likely just remember that and then use that as your template in order to speak, so that you have some structure and you're not just rambling on and on and on. I'm going to give you an example that happened with me. So tell them what you were going to tell them. Okay, so this is a real true story for me. It was actually my first session I attended for Toastmasters. And if you're not familiar with what that is, it's an organization that they're global. And it's basically where people get together, and it's very structured. There's a whole process. It goes on for a long time, and you start at level 1 and you all work together and in a friendly environment, non-judgmental, and you basically help each other to speak. So they have a variety of exercises and things. So I went to my first one, and it happened to be at that time that there were it was impromptu speaking, and so they gave the topic was, what is your favorite food? And guess what? I was asked to get up in front of everyone and give a short presentation about that question. So I have a lot of foods that I like, but the first thing that came to mind was strawberries. And so it's not necessarily my favorite food, that I like it. I had this structure in mind: tell them what you're going to tell them, tell them what you told them. So I just thought, okay, I'm going to tell you why I like strawberries. And then I told them. Now, with any kind of impromptu speaking, usually it's short and brief. So just 1 point may be enough, maybe a maximum of 3 points that support whatever that purpose and topic is. And then you could launch into any details as needed. If you want structure, you can do 1, 2, 3 key points followed by any sub points. This is just an example. So I went in and I basically said why I like eating strawberries. Here, I'll show you the structure here. So I had 3 points. So I said, I like eating strawberries because they taste great. And then I knew I had to support it. So I said, especially the sun-ripened sweet ones that when bitten into delight the senses. Point 2, I also like eating them because they are nutritious. They have vitamin C, etc. And so on. Point 3, they're colorful and useful. I basically had 3 points that supported my initial statement and some sub points, and then I wrapped it up, which I'll go over. But you could do anything. You're going to tell them what you tell them, and then you support that. It could be just a story that you have. Maybe it's a narrative of an experience that you had. You could do before and after, past, present, future, main features, anything that support that. It's you, right? It's your experience. You're sharing what you know about that topic. It's not others, it's you. But some structure can be helpful. And then the conclusion, tell them what you're going to tell them. Now with that, try to tie it into what's valuable to your audience. How can they benefit from that? And is there a call to action? Do you want them to do something with that information? Think of these things in mind when you do. So I basically said, with the many benefits of strawberries, consider purchasing them next time you're at the store. You can be amazed at how they can benefit your life. Very, very basic, generic example, I know, but it helped me to be able to just give an impromptu speech on the spot. And by the way, I did win the award for the night for the best speech. So that aside, all right, we are going to practice. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to practice this formula in impromptu speech. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set you up into breakout sessions of 3 people each, and this is your topic. Please don't be fearful of this. It's short. You're only going to get 5 minutes, 3 of you per room, and you are going to practice doing an impromptu speech using the formula. Tell them what you're going to tell them. Tell them what you told them. Now I'm going to show you some topics for you to use, but use this time to each take 30 seconds to do your speech. Give yourself a moment just to think initially what you're going to say. Say it, and then give yourself some time just to kind of share and provide feedback to each other how it went. Okay, so here's your topics, and I'll when you go into your breakout session, I'll upload it so you can see it. Okay, so you must have a business plan. Team sports build strong individuals. Ways to save money. What moral issue best defines you? Why is it important to meditate? What is copyright protection? Or you could say introverts or extroverts, pick one, are better entrepreneurs. So just some table topics that you can use to speak an impromptu speech. All right, don't leave. I'm going to get you into the breakout rooms here. So you may be anywhere from 2 to 4. Hold on here. Here we go. All right, everybody ready? Here we go.
There was no one in my breakout room. Lisa, can you hear me?
Okay.
I went into my breakout room and no one's video or audio was on.
Oh dear. Okay.
So, and I watched the clock counting down and
no one should.
respond.
Okay. Thank you for letting me know. Here,
I don't know what happened.
Okay, I'll fix it here. Sorry, my apologies. Oh dear.
I don't know if that was happening in all the rooms, but I think I was in room 6. And I kept going, hello, hello.
So you're in room 6, right?
I think I was.
Oh, let's see. Yeah, you're not showing up as being in a breakout room. Okay, that's interesting.
Well, I came back out to the main room because there was nothing going on in our breakout room.
Okay. I don't know how to get you back there without I am so sorry. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, it was weird. I turned my video on and I'm like, hello. And I mean, everybody, there were 3 other people. There were 4 of us, but nobody's video was on, no audio.
Okay. All right. Well, just bear with me for a minute. And I am so sorry. I have one more session with a breakout room.
Yeah, I don't know if it was me or what. So.
Okay. All righty. Well, my apologies.
No, that's okay.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I can try to move you to the room again. No. Do you want to try to move you to another room?
Well, I'm just wondering if the other people in our group were seeing each other because I just wasn't seeing anybody.
No one. Lorraine, can you hear me? Lorraine is. I don't know.
Yeah, you can try and put me back in 6 and I'll see if anything's going on. If not, I'll just come back out to the main room.
Yeah, it won't let me put you back into 6 up here. I can try to put you in. Let me just try you.
Hold on a second. Let me see. It says join breakout room. Should I try that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep, it'll let me go back.
Okay.
Try that.
All right. Give it a shot. Okay. Well, there were some issues in there as people are joining back up. Any comments, thoughts? How did that go for the groups?
Yeah, this is Brad. I can speak about my topic. So it was definitely impromptu. I wasn't expecting that you would call us for a quick breakout session, but yeah, it was pretty good. I think I was able to speak. So usually I'm not able to speak for 30 seconds, but keeping those points in mind, I was actually able to speak for 30 to 40 seconds. So thank you.
Okay. Oh, that's great. Thank you so much. I appreciate that feedback. Anyone else would like to share their experience, positive or otherwise?
So in
Lisa,
the chat,
I would
go
like.
ahead.
Okay, so what happened with our team is we're a little bit confused as to what to do. I know that you mentioned that we're supposed to give an impromptu speech, but we didn't have a whole list here, so we seem to have forgot some of the topics to use, and none of us actually got to go, unfortunately. But yeah.
Okay. All right. My apologies. There were some technical issues and I was not able to upload the speech topics there. So for those of you who were able to get through that, kudos to you. For those that didn't, my apologies. I do recommend for this formula that you give it a try, and the more you do it, the easier it gets, that this structure. Now, I'm going to go over a few others
Lisa,
before we.
there's a couple of questions. So Sarah Campbell raised her hand, and while she's getting ready, someone did say that it was a really good opportunity to have that structure, and certainly in our group, we all thought that that was very positive, just to be able to remember that as you're speaking. So go ahead, Jane. Yeah, hi.
Sarah. Oh, I was just going to add that it was actually really revealing. I didn't realize how hard endings were for me, and I went longer than 30 seconds, and I think I went a minute, and I just started trailing off. I hadn't had time to think about how I would land. So it was a helpful exercise for realizing, oh, how do I practice concluding, stopping?
Thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate that. Sometimes you got to give it a try and then just see how it feels. What is it like? And then by doing that, then you'll know what works, what doesn't work. And if you want to keep using that formula or keep practicing with it and get better at it. Let's move on. I've got some other things I want to show you and give you another chance to practice. So we're going to talk about.
Hey, I'm blind and I can't chat.
Okay.
Lisa, could you go ahead and take Renee's question?
Yes. Renee.
Renee, go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
I would just wanted to say that I apologize. Chatting is a little bit difficult. I'm on my iPhone and I couldn't get on my laptop where I could type a lot faster. And the speech and the chats and my screen reader are all competing with each other. So that's all I just wanted to say, because somebody had said, could you please put your information here? And I just wanted to let you know why I couldn't.
Thank you.
And I also agree with the previous individual that spoke up. Conclusion was very difficult for me, all this, but I did it. I thought that was an excellent exercise. Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much,
sharing.
Renee. Yeah, for sharing. I really appreciate that. And just so for all of you, you don't need to provide comments, written comments. This is just optional if you want to. Even practicing orally, I understand the nature of public speaking. A lot of people are very, very afraid of it. So no worries. You don't have to do any of these things. You can just listen in, and that is totally fine. The next thing I want to talk about is table topics. So we'll just go over a few of some of these things. Table topics is also a term for speaking informally, such as around the table, such as in a dinner situation. And so for a lot of people, they do have an anxiety because, especially if you're with friends or family, or maybe it's a more formal and a professional situation, you want to be able to articulate well and have a voice in something. But so for that reason alone, people might be afraid of it. So we're going to go over some strategies and what to do. One thing, and this applies to any public speaking, is collect your thoughts before you speak. So any situation, you always have a moment. Give yourself that moment just to think about what you're going to say before you do it. Pausing is a very effective tool in public speaking, very effective. Silence is an effective tool. You could even just open by smiling. The act of smiling automatically releases endorphins, which calms you. And it also is engaging. So when you smile, your audience more likely like that experience, smile back at you, and then you're smiling at each other and everybody's happy. So, and then you could, if it's a question related, you could restate the question. That also buys you time. Now, think about some of these ideas in responding to any kind of conversation. One is, what are the pros and cons? You could discuss the past, present, future. You could broaden the topic if you have more to add to that topic. You could share your experiences, tell a story, whatever it is, just some ideas of what you can do to continue the conversation on. Now, You can also plan ahead, like I mentioned before. Do your homework. So if you have a dinner event or some social event, do your homework. Find out what news is going on, what's in the headlines, recent events, key buzzwords. Do you have any past history with the people that you will be with? Think about those so you can bring those up. And then you'll be more likely to be prepared so that you can respond accordingly. So do your homework before you go, and it just makes it a lot easier if you know, especially with the news. Usually news comes up in current events. The topic of religion and politics, not everyone likes it, but at least be ready to go if you need, so you can speak about it. Now, don't forget to be an active listener, because people tend to think more about what they're going to say and respond than actually listening to what is being said. So absorb, think about, listen, and then absorb and notice what other people's reactions are as they're talking about it. What's their nonverbals? Can you pick up how they might be feeling about it? Then you can apply that to yourself. How do you feel about it? And then take a stand, keep an open mind, and just see what happens. But don't forget to be that active listener. So the best communication is always 50-50. It's not one-sided. All right, now you could, for a table topic, if you want to add value, you could begin with a question. So here are some options. What is the worst best pet a person could have? These are examples, and they may seem a little far-fetched, but I've had people ask these in dinner situations, and they were actually fun. Mm-hmm. And then the conversation continued, right? Or like this, what a meeting, workshop event. How are you feeling about it? I'm looking for referrals for a hairstylist. Do you know of anyone? I'm looking for a good restaurant to eat. Do you know of any? This is an interesting point, John, Susan, or whomever. How do you feel about that? Does anyone feel differently? Questions are a great opener, and it takes the pressure off of you as well. So you can get a conversation started, but you don't have to be the know-it-all with the conversation. So I highly recommend questions, especially with table topics or any social networking situation. People love to talk about themselves. Most people, if they talk about a topic they know, especially more intimate, where it's one-on-one, a lot of people enjoy that. So it's something to keep in mind. So there is other templates depending on the formality. Begin with a grabber, and that could be that question. Maybe you know the startling fact, short story, something like that. And then add any relevant information to it. You could ask the audience their input, maybe include a call to action as needed. That call to action is some kind of an action you want your audience to do. So maybe you want them to follow up, maybe you want them to buy your product or service, to go online, I don't know, volunteer their time, pay money, whatever it is. So that's helpful to know in advance. Okay, so we're going to try this one more time. This is the last time for practice. Now, in this situation, I'm going to break you up again into groups of 2 to 4. You're going to get an opportunity to practice a table topic. Now, I'm not going to give you a list. This time it's up to you. So it could be anything about current events, weather, something about ethics, music, books, food, travel. You could even do that. What is your favorite type of question? Please, and within the 5 minutes, have everyone a chance to initiate a conversation, have a little bit of chat back and forth, and then the last minute, just discuss how you thought that went. Okay, so any questions before we get started? One last 5-minute session. Okay, so let's see. Hopefully this time I won't have any issues, and I'm going to put you out in breakout rooms. And here we go.
Hi, Lisa. I was by myself in 21. Can I get assigned to a different one?
Yes, my apologies. Okay, so let's see, where are you? How do I do this now?
Can you put me in another one? The person I was with, Lorraine, somebody, was not answering. I don't think was.
Okay, I'm gonna close all rooms and I'm gonna do this one more time. All right, sorry guys, I'm gonna put you in breakout rooms one more time here. Yes. Oh boy. Breakout rooms. Well,
Oh,
come on.
well, we can have one right here.
Yeah, we can have one right here. Let's
Um,
go do it. The breakout rooms are closed. I hit close and they didn't have an opportunity. They're
Okay.
gonna close in 30 seconds. All right, go ahead. You got 30 seconds, initiate.
Okay, I've been thinking about when I feel safe to go to restaurants again, about which restaurant I'm going to go to first. Does anybody have a favorite that they can't wait to go back when they can sit inside without fear?
Nice intro.
Yeah, that was nice. I am such a foodie. I have so many different places I want to go to. Where are you located?
Well, I'm in Woodinville, so there's a restaurant in Redmond that's nice and small, the Stonehouse. That's going to be my first place that we can go when I feel safe sitting inside in a small restaurant.
Nice.
I've been craving like a pancake breakfast at a diner.
Nice.
All right, good job. Is everybody, I think everybody's back. Are they?
Yeah, this
Yes, I
was
believe
pretty
they are.
quick, Lisa.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
very
I
That's breakout.
know. My apologies.
but fun nonetheless.
We'll practice at home.
So are you guys open to doing it one more time? We'll do a 3-minute session. I get you all in the chat and those who did not have a chance.
Yes, please.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm gonna recreate
About
here.
10 minutes left.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna put smaller here. All right, here we go.
Hi, the person I was with left. So
Okay, all right. Well, did you have an opportunity to talk?
yeah, I was on with someone. Yep. So I did. Yep.
Okay. Any comments, thoughts? How did that go for you?
Oh, I mean, it was good. We just talked about the pandemic and kind of what good came of it.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah,
All right. Well,
you don't need to talk to me. I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
yeah, I put you on the spot, didn't I? I'm gonna go ahead and close all rooms and bring everybody back because we're just
Okay.
about out of time. Yeah.
Okay.
think we're back, Lisa.
All right. Okay. Well, I hope that experience gave you at least some idea with the table topics. Granted, you didn't have the full 5 minutes for each session for that, but with any kind of situation, I was just hope it gave you some ideas of what to say, how to initiate a conversation, and how to keep it going and take the spotlight off of you. One thing is that starting out with a question can be a very effective tool, like I said before, because it takes a spotlight off of you, and then it turns it over to your audience, who can just continue with that. So in a sense, it also gives you some kind of control. Now, if you have any kind of questions in a more formal type of presentation, then you can use some of that strategy as well. You can turn it over and ask others in the audience if they have questions with that. Certainly, if you are asked a question and you know the answer, then go ahead and answer the question. If you don't know it, don't fear it. When people ask you a question, that they hope that you have the answer, but they don't necessarily will expect or assume that you have the answer, and they will appreciate if you are candid with them. You could turn ask the other audience if they have questions. Sometimes people will be very happy to share what they have, or just have some kind of a strategy to get back to them, or let them know where they could get more information. But all of this with impromptu speaking is doing your homework. So anticipate where you might be asked questions, and if so, how will you respond? What is your strategy? How will you answer them? What will you do if you don't know how to answer them? So some things to just to consider. Now, with impromptu speaking, don't apologize if it's a formal situation. People will understand. So you don't need to say, "I'm so sorry, I just you caught me off guard, I don't know what to say," or apologize for how terrible you thought it went. In most cases, no one had any idea that what you were thinking, and they thought that it went well. So don't assume that it's a bad experience. Again, reframe your thinking, and that it will go well, and everybody will benefit from what you have to say. So when you are with any kind of in public speaking, and especially impromptu speaking, keep in mind that it's always about the audience. So if you can plan, think about how the audience can benefit from what you have to say, why it might be important to them, and what new information will they learn from it. So everybody has a voice, everybody has information to share, whatever the way it's presented, whether vocally or in writing or some other visual format. As long as you know that there's some value for your audience, then it's going to go well. Really important. There's two key things. One, that you are passionate about what you have to say, and that your audience has some value. Those are really the two key important things to having communication success. So here's a 5-step formula, and then we'll wrap it up or finish. Listen to what's being said. Take a moment to collect your thoughts. Confirm if you need to what you understood. Go ahead and tell on whatever formula works for you. Have one in mind, and then go ahead and end. Again, you could just get started, just start talking as a way to do it as well. So formula that works for you, prepare, keep the focus on your audience, and then overall, smile, relax, and enjoy the process. Last quote of the day: people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Okay, Maya Angelou. That's exactly right. No matter what you say, it's more important about how the people experience and feel. So make it about your audience. Ask them questions. That's what they will more likely remember. So I hope this was helpful for you. It was a lot of information in a short time. I wanted to give you some tools and techniques that you can take away and practice. Public speaking is a skill that you develop and can get better over time with. And ideally, you'll find that it can be enjoyable and a very useful tool that's helpful to you. If you want to learn more information or you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. This is my contact information, www.speaktopia.com website, or speaktopia@gmail.com is my email address. So thank you so much, everyone. I hope you have benefited from this, and I'm going to pass it back over to Joni.
Lisa, thank you so much. You are so passionate about this topic, and that totally shines through. It just, I learned so much today, and we had a couple of questions in the chat. The first one was, she said, "It seems funny to repeat myself 3 times. Can you talk to us a little bit about what's with the 3?
repeat yourself 3 times?
Yeah, when you have you know, your introduction, your middle, and then your end.
Oh yeah, no,
yourself.
that's a great question. Absolutely. Don't repeat yourself. You don't want to, it doesn't have to be boring. It's just a structure. So it's just think of that as basically kind of like an outline, right? You have the key titles for each outline, your topic, your subtopics, subpoints, and such on. It's the same thing. So in your introduction, you just kind of elaborate that and make it your own, make it personal, and be authentic. Well, I'm going to tell you about why I like eating strawberries. And then you go into, I like eating strawberries because blah, 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 blah. And then in the end, you don't necessarily have to say, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to tell you. I told you that I liked this. So you would just summarize it. So strawberries are really good, and you probably could enjoy them too. You can find them in any store. And here's other places where you can go to buy really delicious strawberries. So it should flow easily. It's just, like I said, a template so that you're not rambling and going off in different tangents.
Right. And then there's, thank you for that. Thank you for that clarification. And then there's one more question. Any tips on the differences to consider between live and being on Zoom?
Yes. Oh, so many. So know who your audience is and the communication. Know what the barriers are to communication. There's a lot of differences in that, but what are some of the concept between all that is knowing who the audience is, knowing the purpose of your message, and how they can receive it. So like with the Zoom session, you only have the eye of the camera, and you want to be able to be seen, and you want to be heard, depending on lots of other factors. So, but with impromptu speaking, whether the camera's on you, it's impromptu. Whether you're asked to come on a stage and face-to-face, live audience, all the attention is on you. But you need to be able to communicate your message clearly. And like I said before, as long as that you are passionate and know your topic well, and that there's value and benefit to the audience, those are the 2 key things. So this is a whole other topic about the differences, but it's important to know those things.
And perhaps we'll do that in the near term. This is Lisa's book, and I highly encourage it. It's an excellent, like I said, one source for all you need to know about public speaking. And with that, I'm going to toss it over to Monica to tell you about some upcoming events.
Thank you, Joni.